Now, you told me about Stalin, and you told me about a new work called.
Oh yeah. They had something like that
Lysenkoism?
in Eastern Europe, right?
Yeah.
From Trofim Lysenkoism, right?
Lysenkoism,
Which,
yeah,
that's when they refused, because it can bounce the other way. You know what I mean? Like they can refuse like new types of science. So on the one hand, we can embrace the new science without knowing, and it becomes some kind of a cult, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not tested, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have experimentation. You need to question it, because that's what real science is. And you can check out the documentary below, the full documentary, because they make a great point that science works by scrutinizing the environment.
That's right.
It's not like the first thing that you find out is true. Yeah. Remember when they used to give like cocaine to kids or DTT? They used to spray kids to DTT.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
remember when they used to smoke? The doctors would offer camels in commercials.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's always kind of changing, right? But so it doesn't have to be like science has changed, and not only the person at the top, the experts tell you that, but anybody can find out. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
He makes a great point in the documentary. So going back to Lysenkoism, it was this guy Trofim Lysenko who in Eastern Europe, in Russia, who refused the genetics, and they had their own system because it was the capitalist, the system. They refused everything that came from the West, right? Because they didn't accept their own capitalist way, right? Their capitalist way. So they wanted to get their own science, right? But it was really a pseudoscience, which led like this guy in this type of science, because that's what it does. It actually kills more people than it claims to save. So it does get really destructive. It can be really destructive in the wrong hands, because I've lived through communism, and I've seen it happen that way. That where injections or things like that were, in the 80s was the and you've seen the movie. There's a movie about it with abortions, where abortions were banned, right?
That's
and
right.
The people would do it. That's also has to do with science, right? Because they claim that they have the power. So it does science in the wrong hands. It can be like, because it's the right science at the end of the day is a tool.
Well, I mean,
right?
you look at the SS Reich and what Adolf Hitler did as well. Eugenics was a form of science. People don't realize that's pseudoscience.
They
believe that if you were from a certain genetic stock, that was the genetic, the evolution of man, and that we should be able to.
Right.
And I think what also the thing about science is what C.S. Lewis was talking about. It dehumanizes. Sometimes if you base your whole life upon the scientific method, you can actually reduce the human being to nothingness, as if they were not important. And then we just become like cattle. We become like just stock. We become like.
I know, man.
So,
I agree.
And I think science, like any other discipline, and I think that's what C.S. Lewis was saying, that it should be available to scrutiny just as much as any other discipline in the world. So any other profession, like including medicine, including engineering, because science has got like so many disciplines, all scientific principles should be available for scrutiny from even the common person saying, I'm not too sure about that. Like the average person should be able to say, I'm not too sure about that. Does not sound right. I would like more information. But to be dictatorial about the science, the way like Justin Trudeau is like, hey, science. They don't believe in science. You know what? I hate when politicians. Jagmeet Singh used to say that would piss me off too. He goes, they don't believe in science, and they don't. And you know what? Science is not your buddy, there, Jagmeet. Okay. Number two, all right. If they don't believe in science, that means they wouldn't have a f***ing cell phone on them. They wouldn't have a computer at home. They wouldn't have a microwave, and they wouldn't be doing their laundry with laundry soap. Okay, they'd be living in the 11th century. That's what I'm saying. If they didn't believe in science, it's such a ridiculous statement. Such a ridiculous statement. I hate it.
Yeah, it's literally impossible to believe, quote unquote, in science, because belief is only reserved to religious phenomena.
I know.
Right? It's like you can't really believe, right? You can only believe the proof that is given to you, and that can change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the example that I was giving earlier with smoking and DDT and all that. That's like the things can change,
DDT.
right? And I think people are lost, JC, right?
Yeah,
I think people are lost in the collectivism, right? That's why I dress like Where's Waldo to help people find themselves and pinpoint and realize that find Waldo, finding Waldo, find that center and find the truth and scrutinize. Don't keep settling. Don't settle. Always keep searching.
That's right.
Just like you keep finding Waldo.
Right. That's right. Like and the other thing too, I always say to yourself, if you cannot grow emotionally, spiritually, or intellectually unless you can look at the other side of the coin. Okay, so you always have to look to the other side of the on the other side of the road or the other side of the many perspectives. If you don't, How the hell? You can't just take something absolutely from one scientist. If one scientist gives this opinion, I want to hear the other side. I want to hear what the other scientists are saying.
Absolutely.
But you know, with and all this other crap that's been going on, this whole the other scientists don't have a right or a voice. Look at what happened to Joe Rogan with Dr. Robert Malone.
Right.
Look what happened to Dr. McDougall. What happened to Dr. Roger Hatkins. All these are major scientists in virology, immunology, the Great Barrington Declaration, all been silenced by corporate media.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, that's worrisome. That's scientism. As soon as you start like silencing or like hushing the opposition,
Monopoly.
Yeah, when you try to take a monopoly on the science, that's when I know there's something wrong.
Yeah,
There's
don't